Here is how I know I am beginning to grow old. I have worked past 8 every Friday in September under no duress. I spend my evenings at home with a glass of red for health and the urbane conversation of my sourdough starter. The list of television series I've committed to watch is a better read than my call display. I know the difference between Riesling and Gewürztraminer. I've become cautious with locks and windows, entertaining rituals of double and triple checking the key turn in a memory whose leash I no longer loop easily through my fingers. One evening I returned from sojourn to find the door unfastened. Ever since then, I have been saving for a care home. I keep time compounded in a calendar, feed it kitchen scraps and post-it notes in exchange for its former liberties. I consider the future with despair, but no violence. I have taken up flossing. In the dirt patch at my front step, I have planted tomatoes, zucchini, basil, beans, and kale. I have waged war against the snails, vindictive at the hooligan invertebrates who dare chomp on my vegetable children. I have eaten a vine-picked tomato, halved with salt, the way my mother used to do. I've considered childbirth, formed its plot in my head as biography rather than science fiction, and then have realized that by the time I am unselfish enough to pay passage for another human being across the river of forgetfulness, my only hope of waylaying a member of the male species with whom to do the deed will be to lay traps for him in the crevices of my neck wrinkles. I would call this ironic, but then I have stopped using the word irony to describe events that don't turn out the way I want them to. I've begun to write letters to my father. In the instance that he should be overtaken by senility or heart attack, there are things I will want to have said. Dear Father, I thought you might like to know what grew in the garden you built me. It was not a successful year for zucchini, but the basil and beans were sufficient. I have a knack for kale. Dear Father, let's be honest with each other. In the fist of a depression meaner than a coupon, I didn't leave the house for a week and a half during the hottest part of the summer. Everything died, except for the kale. Dear Father, in case subtlety is adopted, not genetic, in case I overrate my cleverness and underestimate the neon of my desperation, I will say it outright. I feel guilty for everything you ever gave me. For many days I have eye-spied the road to your residence, wondering what shoes I must wear if I am ever to undertake the slow pilgrimage of coming home. But I have been so far unable to entangle the adjectives and prepositions of our history, too honest in this to weigh the balance of fault in my favor. Sometimes you plant seeds that bear no harvest. And now I am being stalked by the fruit flies of loneliness, wondering if I have wasted your backache and blisters on passions no more worthy than an in-breath. This is how I know I am aging. I understand that what I have is what I planted. No doubt you in your September would have told me this if my prodigal ears had been a little kinder, dear Father. The locks on my apologies are rusted shut, and my heart is fresh out of hammers. But deep, deep in the dirt where the earthworms sleep, with an instinct born only to the daughters of gardeners, I feel there is a softening. So I will bury this forgetfulness up to its knees in the mud outside my window, water thrice, and wait for harvest.